Hola, bienvenidos a nuestro nuevo episodio de Rumbo a tu Hogar. Estamos muy contentas que tenemos a un invitado por segunda vez, que es Randy, porque la vez pasada quedamos pendientes con muchísimas preguntas y es el primer invitado que estamos repitiendo, which is good, porque bueno, el tema de inversiones siempre es algo que le llama muchísimo la atención a las personas y para eso estamos aquí, para poder repetir. Bueno, la introducción la hicimos la vez pasada, pero la gente que vea el episodio de nuevo, si puedes decir rápidamente, like, who you are, an introduction very fast, and then we're going to start with the questions.
Bueno, soy Randy Hernández, uno de los dueños de Beast Mode Remodeling, BMR, y también uno de los partners de BMR Homes, that we do fix and flips. Y tengo más de 30 años en construcción.
Wow, más que suficiente, perfect. So vamos a empezar con las preguntas, ¿verdad?
Pero quería mencionar algo, para que todo el mundo sepa, estamos en uno de los lugares donde Randy ha hecho. So this is not just any random place. This is one of the places that remodeling has been remodeled. Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Amazing job.
Yeah. So vamos a hablar de la primera pregunta, digamos, va a ser para retomar un poquito la vez pasada lo que estábamos hablando. So hablemos de cuáles son los errores más comunes, ¿verdad?, de las personas que van a invertir. ¿Qué es lo que tú ves que normalmente se cometen errores para que los inversionistas nuevos no los cometan? Algo importante que deban tener en cuenta.
I think they don't do the research. They don't do the research that they need to do to spend to allocate the right budget for the home, whether it's low on the lower end or on the high end. I think they don't do their research and they either spend too little of a money or they focus on the areas that they shouldn't focus on. And it's not always about a dollar amount. It's just about the necessities of the home and the wow factors of the home. What is going to sell the home that makes you walk in and go, wow, I want to buy this house, right? So I think they don't focus on a budget and they don't focus on the necessities of the home. And we talked about this last time about hiring a home inspector to evaluate the home, and then from there they can set their budget on where they want to allocate their funds to.
Yeah. How long can a project take, like to, the process of remodeling, right? There are different scenarios, of course. Right. All the houses are in different conditions. But let's say an example. If it's something basic, how long can it take? If it's something that it requires, I don't know, specific things, if you can kind of say.
Or how much would you want to actually take?
You hit it right on the nose. So it goes right with your budget, because once you set your budget, y tú dices, okay, entre la cantidad de dinero que queremos gastar en la casa. This is our budget. From there, that budget also allocates how much time you're going to spend into the house, right? So if you have a higher budget and you're going to do more remodelization, you're going to redo the kitchen, you're going to do the bathrooms, you're going to redo a deck. Obviously, it's going to take a longer time, right? So all of that plays into setting your budget. How fast do I want to get this house on the market, right? I got, like, my partner, they just bought a house with his family. Okay. And their goal is 30 days. We want it on the market.
Is it possible in 30 days?
Yeah, they want it on the market in 30 days. So how do you do it in 30 days, right? So that means maybe we're not doing that much work, or maybe we are doing a lot of work, right? So in this house, they are doing a lot of work. It's a new kitchen, 2 new bathrooms, painting the outside, inside, new HVAC.
In 30 days?
In 30 days. So the goal, if you want that done in 30 days, it could be done. Okay. But then you can't do, right, you need more people, and you can't take on 10 other projects.
Of course.
Right.
Okay. You have to be exclusive.
You got to be realistic now. So
of course.
You add more people. You can't, be all over the country, doing other projects. Focus on that project and you can get it done. But it all has to line up, the budget and your timeline of what you want. Yeah. Because the budget also falls into your timeline, right?
Of course.
If you're taking 3 months, then you got to add your mortgages in 3 months that you're paying, right? Because you're paying for mortgage on it, your insurance payments that you're paying on it, the staff for 3 months. Imagine staff for 3 months. It's going to cost money.
Yeah. So say that I want to invest. I don't have a home. I don't have money. I don't have anything. I don't even have a clue what it is how I want to get started. What would your suggestion be? Like how can I get?
Just call me.
Well, number one,
just call me. That's simple.
That's it, and I'll explain you, and I'll tell you what you have
Everything
to do.
Everything else we'll figure it out.
What if someone doesn't have money yet, but they're planning in the future? Let's say, okay, Randy, in the future, I would like to become an investor, this and that. So they're just talking to you. I don't know. You met someone and you're talking about your work, right? Your job. And they say, oh, that's interesting, but how can I get into it? Like, what's your advice if someone is asking you?
I just had that conversation with a customer yesterday. I met a lady yesterday morning, and she's in her late 50s, and she wants to retire. And she's like, I want to flip homes. How do I do it? And I said, well, you know what? We're fortunate now is that we have online, right? You have so much knowledge online, and through different platforms, whether it's YouTube, right? Just searching, even TikTok. There's so many platforms now that you can look up how to fix and flip and follow certain people. So my advice is, if you're really interested, you got to do your homework, right? So go online and look for some, even like us, right? Or anybody else, and start following them, look at the projects, how they do it, right? Maybe interact with them, ask some questions online. But I think online helps a lot right now for you to do your research and try to get an idea of how these projects work. And a lot of guys that are in the remodeling business, or in the fix and flips, like Michelle, you can see a lot of the befores and afters. And I'm more than sure, like, if you ask me a question, I'm very open and I'm talkative. If you text me and you say, hey, Randy, I want to buy this home and it's going to cost this much,
what do you
give me some advice. But I think you have to start somewhere. And I think the best thing is online, looking at it, looking even at shows, some of the shows that they have on TV, like
the HV.
Because it gets you hyped, right? You start seeing it and you're like, I can do that. And when you start looking at a lot of
I think you can do everything.
Yeah,
TikTok and YouTube.
Right?
But it's not that easy.
Then I see Randy, I'm like, no,
it's not that easy.
But if you look at the DIYs, right, all those shows, a lot of it, you can do it. It's just not being afraid of doing it.
Right.
And always looking for someone, because sometimes the people have no clue, but everyone starts the same way, and it's, learning step by step, and also consulting with someone that knows, like starting to know about materials. Sometimes the people think like, oh, I don't have experience, I don't know which materials to use, but that's why you are there,
right.
And there's like a professional person in charge of everything,
That's what she was saying. The lady, when I was talking to her yesterday, she said, well, I did some projects myself, and she goes, I was really scared. She had to do the siding on the house. And because it's a historical home, she was limited to what she can do. So she said, I didn't know what the contractor was doing, and I don't know if he was doing it right or wrong. I said, so how did you manage him? She goes, I went online. And I YouTube
how did you find
how to use Hardy Plank and how to install Hardy Plank, and he was doing things wrong. And I was telling him, look, this is not.
That's why he cheated, because she didn't know you before.
I said, she has to call you first.
She has to call you first,
But that's you learn so much now online. It's compared to this is the same conversation we had yesterday. I was telling her, when I started doing construction, I didn't have that, right? I learned and error, trial and error. Right? We're like, we did it wrong. Take it down. Redo it again. Right? Take it down. And there was no, let me go online and figure it out. It was like, let's call this guy who's an expert. Let him come out and look at him like, you did it all wrong. Do it again. Right? That's how we learn. We learn hands-on. Nowadays, it's just so much information out there.
Yeah, and it's very possible. Okay, I want to talk about a topic that we were talking in the last episode, that was about the price point, the price range, right? Okay. When we were talking about Burlington, for example, or let's say Henderson, or places, well, Burlington, no, because it's growing a lot, but let's say Henderson, right? That there's not so many options, or Rocky Mount.
Okay.
How can you find comparables if there are not, right? And how can you bring the price up? Because you were explaining us something that it was behind the scenes, and then we said, oh my God, this was perfect to say it and explain it on the podcast. So we were talking about Otto, for example, right? That he does different kind of like tricks, to do good business,
Like so one of the things, and Otto hit it right on the nose, was but he's in a different position, right? So not everybody in that kind of position that can go and say, I'm gonna buy 3-4 homes in a neighborhood, and I'm gonna raise the comps, right? You're forcing a raise. You're forcing it, right?
Yeah.
You go into a neighborhood, you buy 2 or 3 homes, and you're going to create your own comps because you're competing with yourself, right?
Yes.
That's the best way of doing it, right?
But you need money.
Yeah, but you need money, or you need some credit, or you need some hard money lenders, people that have faith in you to do it, right? That wouldn't be the first phase that I would invite somebody to invest in. I think that would be more a little bit later on the road.
That's deeper. Like,
when you get more experience. You know, I think you got to start one house or two, unless you got some partners. And it's like, let's say 2 or 3 partners, and then you can buy 2 or 3 homes and then raise the comps.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ways. Another way is buying and holding, right? So you buy a house. Like we bought a house in Rocky Mount. None of the hard money lenders wanted to help us. They said, there's no comps. How are we going to compare this? We don't even know how to, how do we fund it, the job?
And it's a beautiful house.
It's a beautiful house. It's a 2-family unit, right? Yeah. So we decided, okay, we were blessed. We got a hard money lender.
Yeah.
Gave us interest only for 5 years, which was great. So we can sit on the house for 5 years, rent it out, right? Pay the interest only on it, okay? But in 5 years, we're gonna have comparables. Yeah. We're gonna have comps within 5 years, right? But we also fixed a house that is probably one of the nicest homes in the neighborhood. So now what we're doing is, by us doing that, right? By you taking a home and making it really nice, what are your neighbors? They start getting a little jealous, right? And they're gonna wanna paint their house, right? So now you get just one more neighbor that paints their house. Then what happens to the next neighbor?
It's gonna happen.
And it starts happening. Yeah. But in 5 years, listen, Rocky Mountain, it's already at its lowest point. I don't think it can get any lower. It's gonna go up from here, right?
Yeah.
Right? So in 5 years, it's definitely gotta go up. We maintain the house every year from the second unit. We'll take that, reinvest it into the house, so that we can continue to make it, look nicer, and hopefully we'll get to where we want to be at.
Yeah.
So that's one way you sit, buy and hold the house, rent it out, let the rent pay for the mortgage, so that you don't have to put out of pocket. But that's a long-term investment. And that'll drive. Eventually, your comps is going to go up in that neighborhood, right?
But that's great because it's another option that the people have, to hold it.
And you always have to have a way out. We talk with that with Michelle, and Michelle says, Michelle Vega, and one of the things is when we buy an investment property with her, we talk about what we're going to do with the project. What's our plan, right? Yeah. Plan A is we're going to buy, we're going to put this much money, do the budget, figure out what we want to do, and we want to flip it in what amount of time, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if we can't flip it?
Yeah.
What is plan B?
Yeah, and plan C.
And plan C. Yeah, you have to have a plan B and a plan C, because if not, you can get hurt in this business, right? So you can drown, because then you have your mortgages coming back over and over. So plan B might be, okay, let's buy it and hold it. Okay, so do we want to hold it and rent it out, or do we want to Airbnb it? So that's another option.
That was the question that you were going to do.
So you look at your neighborhood, right, and you say, in this neighborhood, there's no Airbnbs. Okay, maybe there's a reason why there's no Airbnbs, because maybe this area is not interesting. There's nothing here that requires an Airbnb, right? Or maybe nobody tapped into that market yet. So you got to look in the area. Why would I want to rent here? So, why would I want to have an Airbnb here? Maybe there's some local hospitals. Maybe, because if there's hospitals by, who's going to stay there? Nurses and doctors that are traveling, right?
I didn't think about that.
There's also
Airports.
people that's in the hospital that are long-term, and the relatives are coming to visit.
Yes.
So, and if you got the mother, the father, the sister, or everybody visiting, they're not going to rent 3 or 4 hotel rooms, Airbnb. So you look at all your options in the area, and you say, okay, we might not want to rent this unit. We want to do an Airbnb. Let's try to mark it out.
Yeah.
So those are plan B, plan C, right?
So, right, because it was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah.
I jumped ahead.
No, and I love it though, because so depending on the area, I guess, or what it is that you want to do, I'm always thinking like, it's always better to just rent out a home. But when you rent out your home, your investment property, the people don't always treat your property how you would.
Of course.
That's your baby, you're going to take care of it and everything. But when you Airbnb it, there's not a lot of, they're not renting it for that much long that they're going to destroy it. But then I was thinking like, is it better to just rent it out? And then it's something that you don't have to worry about because it's a lease for a year or 2? Or Airbnb, like how do you determine which one's better? Just depends?
Again, it depends on the area. what is your plan? If it's an area where, like for example, downtown Raleigh, right?
Of course.
It can go either way, because downtown Raleigh you can rent high, right? You can rent the unit high and just cover all your. You don't have to worry about it. You cover all your expenses. You're covered and you're good, right?
Yeah.
And the person that's gonna rent at a higher rate, typically going to take care of it a little bit more. You got to think about it like that.
Yeah.
Typically, but not always the case, right?
Yeah.
But typically, you know, they spending more money, so they want a nicer area. They're going to take care of the home. But also the Airbnb, downtown Raleigh, moves a lot, right? It moves a lot. And if you have it priced correctly, you could probably potentially double what you would have made.
That's what I was going to say.
Right? So you got to, you know, you can... Yeah. You know, that's something that you just have to make. If you're a gambler, you know, so you know what, let's do it. And what you can also do your research, right? I'm all about research. So what you do is you go to Airbnbs in the area.
Yeah.
And you just go to Airbnbs in the area and you see how far out they rented. So you can go, if you look at, you know, let's just say, you know, because everybody has a name, right?
Yeah.
La Casa Negra, whatever, right? You know?
Yeah,
and
whatever.
you look it up, La Casa Negra, and you're like, wow, they always booked out.
Yeah.
We can't get in there until maybe, you know, May 15th, and they got a spot in May for a week, and then they got a week spot in June, and then maybe have another week in July. That's telling you that a few things, that if that's the only house that's really like that, maybe that's a spectacular home, that's a theme home, maybe it has something that's interesting, it has a pool, maybe it has is a theme behind it, right? Like Michelle now is doing theme homes, right? Like, you know, the Barbie house, the Batman house, right?
Yes.
Because it's driving, you know, a different crowd there, okay? So if that's the only home that's doing that, it may be something special. But if all the homes in that area that you're looking are booked out in April and May and June, it's a no-win.
Numbers are there.
Yeah, they're right there. We got to Airbnb it, all right?
Yeah. I have a question now that you're talking about pools that you mentioned it.
Right.
How hard or difficult is to start a project and create or, you know, build a pool? Because there's a lot of people who want to do it, but realistically talking, right, in your experience, do you recommend it? Do you don't recommend it? Or it depends on the style, but I would like to talk a little bit about that because investors ask about that. What if I want to put a pool right here? So what do you say in those cases?
So, you know, a lot of brokers tell me, I'm not a broker, right? So a lot of brokers tell me that I get a 50-50. I get some brokers that are telling me, oh, it's no good. It hurts the resale value because you're limiting your customer, you're limiting your client base, right? Because, you know, there's a lot of customers that don't want a pool. There's a lot of customers that are afraid of a pool, the cost of the pool. But me, personally, I like pools, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a Caribbean person. I like to be, I want to be in the warm weather. And I think that...
Can you imagine yourself with Marcela in the pool?
Oh, forget it. Yeah. That's what we will be at every single weekend, right?
Yeah.
But I also know
with
that,
a margarita.
I have friends that have pools, and their pools, there is a lot of maintenance, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's a lot of maintenance. It is definitely not something that happens quickly. Right, so it delays your project, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a project that's already, you know, in your heart, you already know your timeline is going to take 3 to 4 months, and you can get a pool schedule within that time, I would do it. But again, from what I'm hearing from the brokers, it kind of limits your client base. And then again, let's talk about the area. Right? Let's talk about the area. So if you're putting a pool into a home where it really doesn't fit in that community because nobody else has it, and
a house with a pool in Rocky Mount.
Yeah, right. You see what I mean?
Sense.
It doesn't.
But in Raleigh, it's different. In Durham,
in North Hills,
yes,
in the Durham, right by the borderline of Chapel Hill area, right? That it makes sense, right? It makes sense, and then that also helps you out for Airbnbs because a house with a pool with Airbnb is gonna, you know, raise I mean, there's a lot of, I'm more than sure a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh my God, insurance.
What does he say?
And, you know,
but it's the
children.
criteria.
But everything is going to have some risk to it. Everything is going to have some risk.
That's very true.
You know, but you got to look at the home and you got to see, like this home that we're in, right?
Yeah.
A pool would be fantastic.
Oh my God.
Imagine if we would have had this deck further out and put a pool within the deck.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy, right? So, and this neighborhood, there's enough comps. So this is a great neighborhood.
All the houses around are
just
beautiful.
I was like, oh my God,
the houses that I want for me.
Because you got the comps here are like this, right? So you got $600,000-$700,000 homes here. You got $4 or $5 million homes here. And in the same block, the house across the street is 2.5.
Yeah.
The one right in front of us is like 1.5.
We were checking everything.
This one next door is 650. So it's just like, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you go on the other side, it's like 3.8. If we just walk around the corner, how are you not gonna have a pool in that kind of house?
Yeah.
We're not trying to give the person here any ideas right now.
Well, if you want a pool.
Call
No, I can't do a pool. No, that's not what we do. We stay in our lane.
Yeah. But that's great, you know, like to talk about the different options and everything. I would like to ask you if you think, because I don't want this episode to be like the last one that we are thinking that maybe we had to ask more questions, but I think that the questions that we were going to do to you, you were talking about all of that.
As we thought about
so it's everything related. I don't know if there's any particular thing, and I would like to, after that, end up the episode with you saying maybe like a phrase, because I remember the day that you were talking, I love like how you ended up everything that you were saying. So like something very positive for the people who want to, you know, get into the investment things. So those two questions.
All right, okay. Well, the phase that I've always tell everybody, I mean, for the longest, I always say, dream it, believe it, and do it. I always believe that, you know. You can't, when you want to do something, you have to believe in it. You have to dream it. You have to do it. Anything. I'm not talking about what I do in construction. I'm talking about anything.
Whatever.
If you're in real estate, if you're doing this podcast, right? It just can't be done half-assed. You just can't be like, today we're going to do a podcast. Right? You got to do it. You got to believe in it. You got to dream it. You got to vision where this podcast is going to go. How far do I want to see this? What do I want to get out of it? How many followers do I want to have? I want to have 100 million followers. And then if your partner's telling you that's impossible, you can't have 100 million partners. Yeah, we can.
Find another partner.
You gotta, you gotta believe it, and you gotta dream it, and you gotta do it, and you don't stop until it gets done, and never stop, never quit. I've always believed in that. In anything that I've ever done, I think you have to give it your all. And then I've always said this too, and it's always been a part of my family and even my partner. We always believe if always put God first. And that's the truth. If the doors are closing, then the doors are closed. That's it. Don't try to go around it. Don't try to go over it.
Maybe that was the best thing that could happen.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to be like, you know what?
Believe.
I get it.
All the doors are closing. There's a reason for it. Maybe this is not the time for me to do that. You know? And when the doors are just flying open, that's God telling you it's that time. You got to go through it and make it happen. So those are, I guess, my two phases. You asked me for one.
Yeah. But it's perfect. I don't know if you have any other questions. I wanted to end up with that.
Honestly, no. I feel like you answered everything, and I loved how it was also imperfect.
Yeah, very happy that you were with us. Again, we're going to invite Marcela
next time.
Yes, because I love how she talks, and she can talk a little bit about everything.
I'm glad we did it here in this house. This house is going up for sale soon. Soon, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not one of our houses, but it's one of our investors' homes, and she's been waiting for a long time for this home to be delivered.
It's gonna be live soon.
But it'll go live really soon. I probably say it's gonna get staged this weekend. Yeah. This house will get staged hopefully this weekend.
Who's gonna stage it, Fanny?
Fanny will stage it.
It's amazing.
You know, part of the team, the whole team, everybody works together. So Fanny will stage it this weekend, and hopefully it'll go up on the market next week. So we're all excited about seeing this house.
Highness said that she saw it before you started working on it, and when she walked in today, not even walking in, just the outside.
I saw it with Michelle when she just bought it, and it was totally different. So you did a great job.
I was scared when I looked at it. I was like, oh my God. She's like, what is this? She's like, what should we do with this house? I was like, let's knock it down and let's start all over again.
Yeah, I remember.
No, but it is gorgeous. So amazing.
I think it's gonna sell fast. You can call me if you want to buy the house.
I think this house is gonna sell extremely. You know why? There's nothing in this neighborhood.
Similar.
No, everything in this neighborhood is new construction. And there's no land now. There's no land here. You drive around, there's
and
nothing.
the design and everything is very particular.
Yeah, this design is different. So,
Thank you, Randy,
Thank
for
you,
being
guys.
with us.
Thank you.
We'll see you in our next episode.
Take care, guys.